Welcome back to Frontline News. I'm Javon Keys. It's now time for Frontline Business. The reduction in the General Consumption Tax (GCT) takes effect Wednesday. In keeping with the announcement by the Finance Minister during his recent budget presentation, the tax has been moved from 16.5% to 15%. The GCT cut will result in potential revenue loss to the government of nearly $14 billion. Also starting Wednesday, Tax Administration of Jamaica (TAJ) will adjust the operating hours of its offices due to the decision to impose a 7-day curfew. The curfew is part of efforts to help limit the spread of the COVID-19. Now, Chief Corporate Communications Officer at TAJ, Maris Horton, outlined the adjusted operating hours.
Our offices will be opening to the public from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., which will allow our staff to actually leave early enough so that they can get off the street by the curfew time, as well as to allow for cleaning of the space so that our service providers can also be off the streets before the curfew time. And I want to make a special note that we start at 8:30 at all offices. So persons who would have been used to our large offices opening at 8 a.m., just to note that it will now be open at 8:30 a.m. instead. So these are our offices in the corporate area primarily and our large offices.
The Maritime Authority of Jamaica (MAJ) says it is working with other maritime administrations globally to maintain stability in the shipping industry as the world deals with the outbreak of the coronavirus. MAJ Director General Rear Admiral Peter Brady says shipping is important to international trade and more so to Jamaica, as 93% of trade comes by sea. Rear Admiral Brady noted that while activities continued with loading and uploading, or rather unloading of ships would not be interrupted, these operations at seaports will be done with strict adherence to government guidelines. The Director General said under the current rules, crew changeovers may not be possible, and maritime states around the world have put measures in place that are in line with new guidelines to facilitate extensions of crew contracts and certification. The Caribbean Development Bank (CDB) is recommending more fiscal stabilizers to help Jamaicans cope during the COVID-19 pandemic. Governments in the region have implemented stimulus packages to help cushion the effects on their citizens. However, Director of Economics at the CDB, Dr. Justin Ram, argues that some of the initiatives aren't always strategic.
Because of the nature of this crisis, monetary policy is going to have limited impacts, because you can reduce my interest rates by 0.5%, but if I have to stay at home, that's not going to encourage me to go home. And that's not going to bring back the supply chains that could be fractured at this point in time. We need to ask for forbearance to borrowers at this point in time, because it doesn't make sense for a financial intermediary to be hounding down a lender when this, of course, they can't pay. You really have to think about the long term. And so at this point in time, if things become quite critical, we might want to ask financial intermediaries for some forbearance, as it were, to give them some waivers at this point in time, saying that, of course, the monies will be paid later on. There could be an NPV hit there, but I think it's worth it for longer-term resilience.
Dr. Ram suggested that temporary tax waivers are among the options which should be considered. Director of Economics at the CDB, Dr. Justin Ram.
If, for example, individuals don't have health insurance, or that the public health system is insufficient, then we have to think about some way of providing health insurance at this point in time to pay for medical bills associated with the virus. Government should also be encouraged to support and guarantee sick paid leave, because if you have guaranteed sick pay leave, then it's going to be easy for you to self-quarantine. And I think that that's going to be critical at this point in time. So if you don't have that in your place of employment, then the government would need to step in and ensure that that happens.
In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 537 points, with less than 400,000 units trading. Overall, market activity resulted from trading in 80 stocks, of which 49 advanced, 25 declined, and 6 traded firm. The Junior Market Index advanced by 90 points to close at over 2,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica, Berger Paints Jamaica, Caribbean Assurance Brokers, Caribbean Cream, and Caribbean Producers Jamaica. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services, Barita Investments, Cargo Handlers, and Caribbean Cement Company. Trading firm were AMG Packaging and Paper, Blue Power Group, CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative preference shares, Siboney Group, and Margaritaville Turks US dollar shares. Trans Jamaican Highway Limited was the volume leader with 9.3 million units, followed by Wigton Wind Farm Limited with 4.1 million units and Mailpack Group Limited with 3.3 million units. And now the foreign exchange. Global oil storage could reach maximum capacity within weeks, energy analysts have told CNBC, as the COVID-19 crisis dramatically reduces consumption and some of the world's most powerful crude producers start to ramp up their output. Brent crude fell 3.8% or 78 cents to settle at $25.33 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate WTI rose 0.3% or 6 cents to settle at $20.54 a barrel. And that's it for Frontline Business. I'm Jnn Keys. Pleasant viewing.